If I told you that being too good could ruin your life, would you believe me? Most people wouldn't. We grow up with the same mantra. Be nice, be kind, put others first, and it sounds noble, but here's the problem. When good turns into too good, it becomes a weakness that others can exploit. Niccolò Machiavelli, one of history's most misunderstood thinkers, saw this clearly over 500 years ago. He wasn't telling people to be evil, he was telling them to be real, to understand that kindness without strength is like a door without a lock. And here's the truth: life doesn't reward the nicest person in the room. It rewards the person who knows when to be kind and when to be firm. So why am I talking about this? Because I see too many people, good, honest, well-meaning people, burning out, feeling used, and wondering why their kindness isn't returned. And the answer is not that kindness is bad. The answer is that unprotected kindness is dangerous. Machiavelli wrote in The Prince that it's better to be feared than loved. If you can't be both, most people stop reading there and assume he was some kind of cold-hearted manipulator. But if you actually study his context, you see something else. He understood that human nature is complicated, self-interested, and often unpredictable. I'll tell you a real story. Years ago, a friend of mine worked in a small company. She was the go-to person for everything. Need extra hours covered? She'd do it. Short on staff? She'd step in. A co-worker needed help meeting a deadline? She'd stay late. She thought this would earn her loyalty, respect, and maybe even a promotion. But here's what happened instead. People started expecting it. No one said thank you anymore. And when a new role opened up, they gave it to someone who, frankly, didn't work half as hard, but was more assertive about their worth. That's when she realized something painful. Being indispensable in the wrong way doesn't make you valued, it makes you used. And that's exactly what Machiavelli was warning against. See, the world is not a perfectly balanced system where every good deed comes back to you. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. And if you're too good, you can become an easy mark for those who see kindness as an opportunity, not a virtue. But here's the nuance. I'm not telling you to stop being a good person. I'm telling you to stop being an unguarded one. There's a difference. A good person with no boundaries is like a castle with open gates. Anyone can walk in, and not everyone comes in peace. Think about nature. A rose is beautiful, delicate, and admired, but it also has thorns, not because it hates the world, but because it needs to protect itself to survive. Machiavelli believed in understanding people for who they truly are, not who we wish they were. That's uncomfortable for some, because it forces us to accept that not everyone has pure intentions. It forces us to see that power, influence, and respect don't always come from being the nicest person, but from being the person others know they can't push around. And that leads us to a core question. How do you stop being too good without losing your kindness? The first step is awareness. You have to start noticing the patterns. Do people respect your time? Or do they assume you'll always say yes? Do you feel resentful after helping? Because deep down, you know it's one-sided. That resentment is a red flag. It's your mind telling you you're giving without balance. The second step is boundaries. Boundaries are not walls to keep the world out. They're doors that you control. They allow you to decide who comes in and on what terms. When you start setting them, some people will push back. They'll say, "You've changed." And they're right. You're changing from someone they could use to someone they have to respect. The third step is strength in delivery. It's not enough to know your boundaries. You have to enforce them. That means saying no without a guilt-ridden explanation. That means negotiating for your value without apologizing for it. That means being okay with disappointing people sometimes, because protecting your energy will always mean you can't please everyone. Now, here's the psychological trap many too good people fall into. They believe that if they're kind enough, the world will somehow protect them in return. But history and life shows otherwise. Machiavelli lived in a time of political intrigue, betrayals, and shifting alliances. He saw leaders destroyed, not because they were bad, but because they were naive about how the game was played. And the game hasn't changed as much as we'd like to think. Yes, society has laws and ethics now, but human nature is still human nature. Some people will always test your limits. Some will always look for the easiest path. And if you're too good, you make that path easy for them. Let's pause and make this personal. Ask yourself, in the last month, how many times have you said yes when you wanted to say no? How many times have you bitten your tongue to avoid conflict, only to regret it later? How many times have you done something to be nice when deep down you knew it was at your expense? If your answer is often, then here's the hard truth. You're not being nice for the sake of others. You're being nice for the sake of avoiding discomfort. And that's not kindness. That's self-sacrifice without purpose. Machiavelli would argue that this makes you vulnerable and, in a way, powerless. Because when you can't say no, when you can't draw a line, when you can't assert your worth, you hand over control to others. So the shift you need is this. Stop aiming to be liked at all costs and start aiming to be respected. You can be both liked and respected, but if you have to choose, respect is the safer bet. And here's the twist. When you start operating from self-respect, you'll find that the people who truly value you will like you more, not less. The only ones who will resist your boundaries are the ones who benefited from you having none. This is the paradox. Setting limits may reduce the number of people in your life, but it increases the quality of those relationships. I'm not saying this is easy, especially if you've spent years building your identity around being the helpful, dependable, always there person. Letting go of that image can feel like you're betraying yourself, but what you're really doing is protecting yourself so you can continue to be good, just not at your own expense. And this is where Machiavelli's misunderstood quote comes full circle. It is better to be feared than loved. If you cannot be both, doesn't mean you should terrorize people. It means that if you can't have both love and respect, choose respect, because respect will keep you safe in ways that love alone won't. Here's the heart of it. Being too good isn't about kindness. It's about imbalance. Kindness, when it's genuine, is powerful. But kindness without boundaries is self-destruction in disguise. Machiavelli wasn't telling us to be cold or ruthless for the sake of it. He was telling us to see the world as it is, not as we wish it to be. And the truth is, people respond to how you value yourself. If you treat your time, your energy, and your dignity as cheap, others will too. The real shift happens when you stop asking, will they like me if I do this? And start asking, will I respect myself if I do this? Every no you say to something that drains you is a yes to something that builds you. And every time you enforce a boundary, you're not pushing people away. You're making space for relationships based on mutual respect, not one-sided expectation. You don't need to become unkind. You just need to stop living like your worth depends on other people's comfort. That's how you stop being too good and start being truly good for yourself and for the life you're building.